might be. My name is Sean, and I'm delighted you're joining us for today's ESBC community webinar. Today I'm joined by Greemer, who will be presenting Building an Employee Appraisal Assistant with Microsoft Fabric and Copilot Studio. We love hearing what you guys have to say, so remember to join in conversation about today's webinar and more on X. Our handle is at ESBC_community and our hashtag is hashtag ESBC26. Tweet us, tag us, and tell us what you learned. Don't forget to check out our Learning Hub, which updates the latest blogs, ebooks, webinars, and how-to videos. You can access and view the Learning Hub by visiting esbc.tech and clicking the Learning Hub tab at the top of the page. Don't forget to join us for our next webinar, Demystifying FUAM, Unified Monitoring in Microsoft Fabric, presented by Emil, taking place on Thursday, July 30th at 11 a.m. CEST. To register, visit www.esbc.tech/Learning Hub resources. Time's ticking. Your future network is waiting. Don't miss the conversations, insights, and opportunities everyone will be talking about long after the event ends. Secure your place today and be in the room where it happens. Before you switch on your out of office, make one last move. Secure your place at FabCon and SQLCon Europe in Barcelona and take advantage of our early bird rates. Book by the 31st of July to lock in the early bird pricing. Enjoy your summer knowing your place is reserved for Europe's leading Microsoft Data and AI conference. After the webinar, we'll have a dedicated Q&A session. Please type any questions you might have into the chat box. They'll be selected and answered at the end of the presentation. This webinar will be recorded and added to the Resource Center, where you will be notified by email once available. And now I'm going to hand you over to today's presenter. Hello, Greemer. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi. I think I'll just start by sharing my slides. Take it being visible at the moment, and everybody can see my slides.
Yeah, all good. Thank you.
Good. So this is my first time that I've sort of used Plot Cowork to create my slides, and they're a little bit wild maybe for my liking, but they're sort of visually maybe more interesting than if I would have made them. So this is me, and this is me in my happy place. I like to climb up on mountains, and this photo was taken in a sunset up on a Icelandic mountain the other day. But what I do, I have this fancy title of being a data and AI lead at SoftwareOne in Reykjavik. And SoftwareOne is an international company, but the Icelandic office is not very big. So the way it works is that if we have complex projects, we call in our international friends, but if we have simple projects, I do them myself. And I mainly work with Fabric, Power BI, and a little bit in Copilot Studio. And I also do a lot of training. I've been sort of having probably the longest running Power BI course in Iceland. And I think that I've taught close to 1% of the Icelandic nation how to use Power BI. But the problem that we are trying to solve with this solution that I'm going to show you now, it all started when I was working for a municipality here in Iceland, and I was helping them to automating the gathering of data for employee appraisal interviews. And as you know that have done this, it can take quite a lot of time, and the data is in all different systems and all over the place. and different formats, etc., etc. So it is quite a task to gather all the data that you need to have like a good data-based or evidence-based, maybe, rather, employee appraisal interview. And when I was finishing this project, then AI sort of came on the scene, and we knew that a lot of the people that were going to use this solution, where I had gathered all the numbers, they were maybe not specialized in interpreting the performance data and all sort of numerical data, because being a good supervisor in like one of these typical soft fields, it doesn't really make you a good sort of number interpreter. So when AI came, I thought, okay, maybe you can use this to help them interpret the numbers. And as it was, actually, this was very new at the time. So I went to the people that I was working for and said, okay, there's this fabulous new thing, and maybe you can use that to help people use our solution. Of course, they were skeptical at first, and I sort of convinced them by saying they didn't have to pay. I was just going to do it in my own time. And the first version of the solution was quite sort of rudimentary, really. It was basically just one prompt that I filled out, sort of, okay, here are the numbers, this is the name of the person, and how would you, what should you talk about to this person? A person that has these stats, how should we conduct the interview? And after that, of course, things got a lot more advanced. And now we have different versions of agents and stuff. And the solution that I'm going to show you now, this is basically more like, how would I do today if I was starting today? And more than how did I do it before? And there was this new version of Copilot Studio agents, or Copilot Studio, that came out, I think it was the beginning of June. And I'm gonna show you how I would implement it in that tool set rather than solution that is running now. Because the things are moving really, really fast in this world, and it's probably best if we can sort of stay more or less in the present. Okay, so this is the solution. We have two types of performance data, and of course, we are not working with real data. We are working with demo data, and also try to make it more international by imagining that we are working in like a kindergarten, in an English kindergarten, and trying to follow the laws and regulations that apply there. Okay, so we got two types of data, and we store it in two different places, and the reasons will become apparent soon enough. So we have a lakehouse that stores like the performance data, and we use a Fabric data agent to retrieve that data. And then we have attendance data. We have that in a semantic model, and we also have a data agent retrieving that data. And then we have a Copilot Studio agent that sort of orchestrates the conversations, calls on these two data agents to retrieve the appropriate data. And it also contains what is in this lingo called knowledge, about guidelines and processes. And we use the numerical data and the data from the previous performance checkpoints. We use them along with the guidelines and processes to create an HTML document that we can print out or look on the screen to prepare for an interview. So we got the data and we got the interpretations that sort of follow the guidelines and processes. And that's basically what we are creating. So I'm gonna start by looking at one of these files. So here I just run 5 different employees. And this is this time, okay. Okay. So this is what the agent creates. And we got the name of the employee and got the title. Okay, here is something wrong. Should be the employee ID and it should be when the employee started. But in English kindergartens, there are 3 things that are important. We should have what they call DPS, which is sort of whether this person is one that you should be allowed to work with children. It's called display and bar services, DPS. So it's sort of no, discover and bar services. So that's sort of a database of people that shouldn't be working with children. They should take a first aid course, and also they should take courses on whether or sort of how to spot if something is wrong, either the child or the home, or there is something that needs to be attended to. So these 3 things, this is what we call compliance, and they should be renewed regularly. Okay, and then we have a headline, and this is sort of the interpretation of the data. So there are different sort of expectations to different types of employees. So the higher up in the rank, the higher your score should be. And so this particular person consistently meets the room leader expectations, the high ratings, etc. And then the next section is, okay, is there something that we should flag in the interview? And they are either red or yellow. Severity, of course, is greater if the flag is red. And we don't have any data from the last interview. Here is like the competence. This particular person should score either 3 or 4 in these competencies. We see here the lines, correct or not. And this particular person went in team collaboration. That particular skill, the score is declining. And a room leader should really score 4 in team collaboration. And one of the things that we are monitoring for is whether a person was sick a lot on Mondays. That sort of might indicate a pattern that sort of might indicate alcohol problems, for a fancier word. And okay, and then we have suggested talking points. So of course we need to address this safeguarding course immediately, and need to get her up to speed on parent communication and etc. etc. So what led to decline in score, etc. etc. And right at the bottom we have sort of a checklist, which is sort of different for each interview. So we need to find the latest notes, to try to find if there are any bookings that we can make about the safeguarding course. And the common rating errors, this is same on every sheet. So just to remind you what could sort of mess up your interview. Mara, maybe if you look at maybe Arjun. Oh, of course, this is all demo data, so I made it myself, so I know the partners. And he has been struggling with Monday sickness, as we call it in Iceland. Maybe something I need to address. Okay. So maybe before the demo. I'm going to start Copilot Studio. And when we open Copilot Studio, I said they came up with a new version, which is still in preview actually, about a month ago. And we need to opt in for the new version by clicking Try Now. And the panel here is quite simple. You can create agents and we can create workflows. And the workflows, they are sort of starting to look more and more like Power Automate flows. So maybe if we go straight into the agents, and the agent that we are working with is this the View Prep Assistant. Name here. So these are the instructions, and these are the tools that we're using. And we're going to look a bit closer at these sort of as the demo continues. We're going to start by just running the demo and see what happens. So just click here on End User Preview, so don't get any sort of debugging messages and stuff. So what we want to do here is that we are going to tell it that we are preparing for an interview with a specific employee, and creates one of these HTML pages for us. So I want to starts by calling the data agents. Because of course names are not always unique, it's very adamant about getting the employee ID correct before it starts gathering the data. And then it sort of mulls on this for a while. And if everything goes according to plan, it's going to end by telling us that, okay, all the data is ready. You want it in an HTML. So let's just continue with the the data that we're working with. So we have two types of data. We have data about the absences, the employees, and it's basically, okay, who was absent, when was he absent, and what kind of absence was it? Was it a sickness? Was it a child sickness, holiday, etc.? And this data structure sort of gives us opportunities to ask all sorts of questions. And one of them is about unplanned Monday absences. And of course, the beauty of Fabric data agents is that we can just write in ordinary sort of language queries, and the data agent translates that into either, in our case, either SQL or DAX queries. And okay, and then the other set of data, that's basically the performance data. And this is maybe more of like a hub and spoke model rather than a Kimball type model. So we have basically in the center, we have the employees, and we also have calendars, sort of when did this performance measure take place. And then we can get, okay, when was the last meeting? How was he doing on things that need to be in place on the certifications? Does he have a lot of children with special needs? Okay, if he has been sick for a while, how did the return to work interview go, etc., etc. So we have all this different data about employees. And again, we can ask many different types of questions through the data agents. And one of them is exactly the one that we ran earlier, prepare for the annual review. Okay, another one is, okay, is there any sort of a Monday sickness type pattern? And also these compliance, everything, things that need to be in place. Who is overdue for maybe safeguarding or DBS, whatever. And here is examples of many of the questions that we can ask. Again, the data agents take these human language questions, translate them into language that the machine understands, and then returns the data. And we have two types of data agents, and one of them is a data agent that retrieves data from a SQL database. In our case, it's a lakehouse. And then we have two types of instructions. We have agent instructions, and the agent instructions, they say, okay, this agent here has access to various types of data. And if you ask about something, then that type of data is in this data source. So like the agent instruction is basically a mechanism to route the data, the questions to the right source. So you could have in the same agent the the absence data and the performance data. And you could just basically use the agent instructions to route it into the right data source. But to make things a bit simpler, I just for the agent, that is, I decided to have it in two separate. Okay, and then we have data source instructions, and that's maybe more interesting for me, at least. That's where you tell the agent how it can, or tell the agent what the data source looks like. So in this case, we have a SQL database, and we have tables that are joined together in a special manner, etc. And we maybe like to filter out certain things, etc., etc. So the data source instructions, they tell the agent how the data looks like, and or what the data looks like, and how it should create the queries. And we'll have a closer look at this in a demo. Okay, and then we have the semantic model. So we have a data agent that points to a semantic model. And there is a difference about how you prepare a semantic model for a data agent as to how you prepare a SQL database or lakehouse for a data agent. So the big difference is that in the semantic model, the main work goes on within the semantic model. So all these instructions that we created on the data source in the lakehouse, these instructions we create in the semantic model. So basically the semantic model queries, they are generated by the knowledge that the data agent has of the data in the semantic model. So when we are creating a semantic model, we want to use in a data agent, or maybe just use it with Copilot. Then there are some things that we have to think about. We need to have clear names of tables, sort of or descriptive maybe table names, descriptive column names, and descriptive measures. And
Sorry, Greemer. Any chance you could just X out of your view on the bottom right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. So yeah. So all the work is done in the model, really. The work that we did in the data source instructions, we do that in the model. And there is a special mechanism for that. It's called Prepare for AI. So we'll have a bit of a look on that. And yeah, and we have to remember to put a description on everything, because that helps the AI to figure out how to do things. And I usually start by using AI to create these instructions. So in the semantic models, there is something called the modeling MCP server, which I just use with Claude Code. And basically, the first thing I do is just I say, okay, create descriptions for everything, or create descriptions for measures, columns, and tables. And for the last 3 times I've done it, the tables somehow have not worked. Somehow it sort of messes up where it puts the table descriptions. But then I just sort of ask it a couple of times and paste in the errors and get it right in the end. And also with the SQL database or the lakehouse, then in a SQL database, you can export the description of the SQL database as a database project. And that's my, so the first iteration. I say, okay, here is a database project, and this is what the instructions should contain. Please create instructions about this database. That sort of gets me usually about 90–95%. So if you look at the data agent, okay, so didn't create the HTML file. That's a shame. Sometimes it does that. It sort of thinks it has created it, but it hasn't. Okay, so and GoCSE, so as is so many other of the colleagues, the safeguarding has lapsed. Here is the headline: strong in pedagogical skills, but communication with parents is not her strong suit. Maybe a little bit stiff. The adaptability is not. And she's dealing with some special needs children, so maybe that's sort of something that explains shortcomings. But anyway, see, we have retrieved the data for GoCSE. This is data sheet that we have to prepare for the meeting. Okay. So if we look at the solution, so this is all in one workspace. And as I said, we have two types of data sources or two types of data. There's Lakehouse Employee Data 01. This is where you've got like the performance data. In absences, we have like a semantic model. It contains the absences. Then you have two data agents. One agent called absence, one called staff records data agents. So maybe if we start with the absence, open the data agent. And the first thing you do when you create the data agent, you click Add Data, data source, and these are like the data sources that we have access to. And when we've done that, we choose which sort of fields we want to have in our solution. And then we go to Setup, and here we would type agent instructions. So, but in this case, because we only got one data source, we don't really need the agent instructions. Basically, one data source. And this here is new actually. You can go to Add Tools, and you can call on Code Interpreter. It creates Python code that maybe visualizes data or does some complex data analysis for us. But in this case, we don't really need that. Okay. But we have we haven't got any agent instructions, but we got agent description. And this here is what helps other agents or human beings as well to determine, okay, if this is this the right data for us? What can I use this data source for, or this data agent for? This here is new, actually. I've never used this, but in theory, this sort of, or in theory, the way this works is that it sort of monitors all the conversations that you have with the data agent and sort of improves it on the way. Probably something to look into at least. Okay, so and as I said, with the data agent that is getting the data from the semantic model, the work isn't really done in the data agent. The work is done in the semantic model. So now we switched over to the semantic model. So this is, I mean, what we old Power BI people used to call the data set. And we got this button here that says prep data for AI. Click that, and then I get this 3 options. So I mean, it's same things here. So start by simplifying the data schema. So in our case, we are really working with such a small semantic model that doesn't really do anything for us. But basically, we can choose which tables and fields we want to include. So if I go into absence type, so the absence type it's hidden, so automatically it sort of doesn't include that. But I could also sort of decide, okay, I don't want to take the category or something. Verified answers. I haven't set up any verified answers, but how this works is that you create a visual in Power BI, and then you say, okay, this visual here and the data that creates this visual is the answer to a specific questions. So this is how you should go about answering these questions. So yeah, you start by creating a visual, and then you connect it to some natural language questions. Maybe I could create a visual that sort of maybe had the sickness patterns of an individual by day of the week, and then I could maybe use that as the verified answer to sort of, okay, give me a pattern about sickness. Okay, and then we have this here called AI instructions. This is sort of basically what we would have as instructions that tells us, okay, this is what the data looks like, this is what you need to know when you're connecting things, this is what you need to know about how to filter out invalid data, etc., etc. This is sort of what one good thing to think about is, okay, put yourself in the shoes of a junior employee. You're given some data source that you've never seen before. So what would you like to know about this data source before you started working on it? So that's basically what the AI instructions. Okay. And then we maybe look at the lakehouse. So we have dimensions, which are basically employees and dates. but these two here, competency and rating, they are basically lookup tables. And then you have 5 tables that tell us about sort of how this particular employee is doing and about these sort of touch points about performance with that particular employee. Okay, so if we create the data agent, that data, maybe show you first. I talked earlier about database projects. So like here we have a SQL database, and we have tables, and we have columns, etc. And we can also create constraints, so sort of relations between tables, etc. And then when that is ready, we can download the SQL database project. And that's basically a zip file with basically the create script for the database. And as I said earlier, I usually start by downloading the SQL database project, run it in, I usually use Claude Code, but I mean, I think basically more or less every AI tool could do that. So say, okay, this is the database project, and this is what instructions should look like. Please create instructions for me. Okay, so here we have the data agent, and we have all the tables and fields or columns, and we have a description of what the agent can do. When would you want to call this agent? What sort of data does it have access to, and what are its capabilities? And we're going to setup here. And here we have 2 types of instructions. So the agent instructions, they are sort of setting the tone and telling it, okay, where it should go to get what type of data. And the data source instructions, I think they are maybe more interesting. So tells us sort of what the tables are, what they contain. It was a little bit too eager because it tells us how many records are in each. Make any sense? Be outdated very soon. But okay, tells us what columns are important, how they are joined. Is there any special terminology that we need to be aware of? And so maybe somebody's going to ask for RTW interview, return to work interview. So now to fetch that data. Here are some business rules that are sort of need to make clear. And then we have some instructions about how to. Thing is that we in our database we got nulls. It needs to gymnastics. And here are some examples that sort of we tell it how to work out these examples. Okay. So now we return to slides. And have the instructions, agent instructions they are basically okay. This is the data that we have access to, and these are the data sources. If you want this type of data, you go to this data source. If you want this type of data, you go to the other data source. And how the tone should be, how the output should be formatted, etc., etc. And then for the data source instructions, then it's sort of deep down on what the data is that we are looking at. The database, sort of how the tables are related, filters we need to use, explaining any sort of business lingo, etc. So that was the lakehouse. Now we're into the semantic model. So the lakehouse, the data agent creates a SQL query, but in the absence of the semantic model, then we get DAX queries. And we have agent instructions. And then, as I've said numerous times before, the data source instructions, they are done on the semantic model itself, not in the data agent. Okay, so now we're done with the fabric part. And the next thing that we're going to look at is the Copilot Studio part. And we are not using all of the capabilities that it has. But what we are looking at Microsoft IQ. We created a skill to do most of the work. And then we have what we call knowledge, which is basically sort of the guidelines and procedures that we should follow. And of course, we use to all this stuff. So I mentioned skills. This is something that comes from Claude Code, probably, but I started using it in Claude Cowork. So it's a special type of markdown document. You save it with the ending MD. And you have to have like a front matter that is, okay, this is what the skill is called. So in our case, the skill is called compliance check. And then we have a description. This description, again, it helps the agent or AI to decide what I can use this skill for. So the skill is basically what we call a procedure, really. So if you got a task, these are the steps that you need to do to complete that task. That's basically what a skill is. Steps that you have to follow to complete the task. Here we have a skill called compliance check. This is sort of checking, okay, has the employee got DBS or what was it? Display and barring services certification. Has it taken the first aid course or has it taken the safeguarding training? And these are the steps that the agent needs to go through to find out if this is the case.
Someone just said disclosure and barring service.
Okay. Yep. So yeah, I mean, this is something we don't have this in Iceland, I think. So okay, and one thing that I found out, I didn't find this in the in the documentation, to be honest, I was questioning AI if there's a way that I could do certain things, and they came up with doing it this way. So maybe it's in the documentation, I hadn't found it, but anyway, it's a way to do this. So when we add the skill to the agent, we can add the zip file that contains various things. So if you look at this slide here, we have a file called skill.md, and that's basically a skill that is in this format here. And it points to different resources. And one of the resources is, in our case, a Python script. And this is the thing that creates this beautiful HTML page that I showed you earlier. And then we have the different references. It can be in Markdown and JSON files. And then we have something called, these are folders. And then we have a folder called assets in our case. And that's basically the template that we use to create the HTML file. And if we go into agent here, right. So when we create an agent like this, we click on the build tab, and then we write in some instructions. And it basically tells the agent what it is supposed to do and how it should do it. And then we have in this panel here, these are the tools that we have access to. So we start by Microsoft IQ. For us, we have access to 2 data agents from Fabric, the staff records data agent and the absence data agent. So we have access to 3 types of intelligence, or whatever Microsoft wants to call it, IQs. Work IQ. This is basically everything that you create with what we used to call Office in the olden days. Everything that's on your in your SharePoint, and everything that's on your OneDrive, and everything that's in your mail, etc., etc. And in the documentation, it said something about you could limit what it sees, but I haven't found out how to do it. So you can turn it on, and as I understand it now, it just has access to everything that you have access to. Probably this limiting feature is going to come soon because it is in preview. Okay, then you have Fabric IQ. And these are basically all the data agents and all the ontologies that you create. And also, if you have a semantic model that you have marked as ready for Copilot, then that's going to come on this list here. Oh yeah, and the last thing, Foundry IQ. Foundry is like a development environment for agents. So if you are working with very complex agents, you would create them with Foundry, and you can give access to Copilot Studio to these agents through this Foundry IQ thing here. Right. So you have to do some hoops to do that. Okay, so here are the skills that we were talking about, and can basically just drag skills that you have created already into here. And remember, they have to be of this format. You have the name first, you have the description, and then you have the sort of what it needs to do. Or you could just create from blank, so it create your own skill. So the name, its description, and then the instructions. And as I said earlier, this here is this zip file that I showed you in the slides. Gets the description here from the skill MD file that is in the zip file. Then you can call some tools from that are without the environment that we have. So I mean, we could send emails, we could look at our calendar, we could look at SharePoint, create Excel files, etc., etc. You could use some MCPs, and we also got connectors, and this is fascinating stuff here, I think. There's also the things that you can do. And you can also call on workflows that you've created. So you can create workflows in here, and you can say, okay, start this workflow for me. And what we are using here, we are using these empty files that I created with sort of the correct procedures about how to conduct these interviews. So this agent that we're using is basically taking data from a lakehouse, from a semantic model, with a data agent that sort of receives natural language queries, translates them into SQL or DAX, receives the data, sends it into a Copilot Studio agent. The Copilot Studio agent consults the knowledge and uses the skill that it has to create an HTML. Other things, of course, that you can do, you can call on other agents. So you can sort of split the work up into sort of manageable chunks, and it can sort of use these agents. So you could think maybe we could have, in our case, maybe an agent that does all the data retrieving, and then we have an agent that does the synopsis of this sort of knowledge and actual data, and then we maybe have an agent that sort of creates the HTML. But I think maybe with the because we have skills, maybe we don't need that so much anymore. And then we have this thing called memory. So I think it's a bit funny here. So that everything is in preview, but memory is in sort of preview. Sort of. But what this does, it monitors what you do with the agent and remembers what you've done, remembers the corrections that you did, and remembers what you're happy with, and sort of improves the agent over time, sort of creates some extra instructions to send in the database, in the Copilot, sorry. Yeah. This is basically what I wanted to talk about. So this is just a way to show the instructions for the Copilot Studio agent. Summary of who it is for. It doesn't give the ratings itself. This professional writes British English. So which agent answers what? So where it retrieves the data. Tells us why it is given its ratings. because maybe apprentice should be some mark, but another more senior employee should have something else, and be specific in what it does. So maybe it's time for questions then.
Yeah, thank you, Greenmar, for a great presentation and demo. So the first question is, so the download into Cloud Code compiles the data source instructions rather than the agent instructions.
Can you repeat?
So the download into Cloud Code compiles the data source instructions rather than the agent instructions.
Yeah, it's a data source instructions, yeah.
Perfect.
Because the agent instructions are basically just telling it, okay, we have access to these data sources, and what answers can each data source answer?
Perfect. And next question is, how do you ensure employee data remains secure and only accessible to the right managers?
Yeah, so in the data agent, we can, the Copilot Studio agent has two ways of connecting to the data agent, and can connect as the maker. So then it just has access to everything that the maker had access to. So that's not the way that we want to do it. But we can also run it as the user, and then it just has the same access as the user. So then we would of course have to set up some access policy mechanisms in the data source itself, in the database. But and then we would have to make sure that the data, the agent runs as user.
Perfect. That looks like all the questions. So on behalf of the ESBC community, I'd like to send a big thank you to you again, Greenmar, for taking time out to carry this webinar. Really appreciate it. So that's the end of today's webinar. I hope you join us for the next one. Thanks and take care.
Very much.